dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with a Good Morning Portugal show live stream and the podcast as well. Feel Good Friday today. And, I've forgotten to do a ticker tape. Been going so well with that. We have Savvy Cat Ana joining us at 9 this morning. A little bit of a clickbaity title, of course. Occasionally guilty of that. And, of course, if Savvy Cat Ana serves me up a question like more dangerous to buy a house now, I'm going to run with it from time to time. So she's asking that question. Feel Good Friday, where Savvy Cat Ana returns with her forthright views on the real estate business. And she'll be here to talk about them, as well as Bobby. Hopefully, Bobby can join us as well at around 9:30, timetable schedule permitting. So I will cut and paste that into a hastily put together ticker tape. Busy night last night, of course, over on the US expat taxes webinar. That was really good. Alan Feister from Greenback US expat tax services did a great job. And I said to him more than once last night, thank you for your calm demeanor when talking about such matters. And there were so many questions and there was so much interest last night that a lot of questions came in when I was managing the Zoom call. And I had like a massive pile of questions to get through. And he would answer them very slowly, as you should, of course, with such important matters. But I was thinking, in my head, come on, Alan, we've got loads of questions. But quite rightly, he stayed steady and calm and collected and addressed each and every one of the questions that came in to us from the Zoom crew last night, the Expats Portugal community. And then we had a dream team session. Gilda was there. If you've been wondering how Mandela is, sometimes I'm a little bit concerned as to whether I should ask her or not how Mandela's doing. And she immediately threw her head into her hands and said, "Oh my God." Like she does. If you know Gilda, you'll recognize that impersonation of her. And apparently he jumped up onto the table and he ate half a Serra d'Estrella cheese, as well as a sausage last night. And the day before, he'd entered the children's very own cookie cupboard and helped himself to a massive pile of chocolate cookies. And she thought that would kill him, basically, on both occasions. She was praying that each of those experiences was not going to be his final experience. So all is well. Mandela remains he's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. And all is well in the Casa Familia Pereira. Mandela is still very naughty, but has survived eating sausage, half a cheese, and a packet of cookies. Okay, and thanks to the Dream Team. Very, very good last night. Very good showing. We had Sarah there, of course, Sarah David from Spartan FX, and Gilda and Daniel. Romain, the excellent character Romain from the mortgage and finance company. Kafima, forgive me, he's in the Expats Portugal Business Directory. I can remember his name, Romain, and what a character he is, helping people with finance and mortgages here in Portugal. And of course, Camilla was there from Winsurance. Nuno not able to attend last night, bit of a sore throat. And I would never say he's probably been talking too much, but resting his voice last night. Ash Melioras to you there, Nuno. Oh, slightly wonky camera this morning. Let me just see. That's better, isn't it? For those of you who are struggling with a wonky shelf level at the back, I think I've sorted that out now. So good morning to you. How are you this morning? Savvy Cat Ana at 9 o'clock this morning, and Bobby with us, fingers crossed, from 9:30. And of course, your news, what's on your mind? Not so deep thoughts. Thank you, John. I just cannot remember. Every time I see that, I panic a little bit. I know it stands for something really cool, great, and it does what it says on the tin. And immediately, no sooner as I've said it, I've forgotten again. No, not so deep thought. Not so deep thought. Not so deep thought. We have those from John. They've been brilliant in the tea duck vacuum, and of course mindful moments, mindful dad jokes, and visual memes of that kind of a mindful nature from James as well. And the continuing journey of Coach Turner in Rome with his continuing obsession with ceilings. They're probably getting fed up with the Englishman lying on his back in various public places in Rome now. But those beautiful ceilings continue. Some of us, well, all of us are lying in the gutter, and some of us at the moment are staring at Roman ceilings. Thank you very much for your correspondence, Coach Turner. Please send your pictures and videos on 913-590-303. Nice to see you, Frank. Frank Nibley's in. Good morning to you as well, Frank. Pinky's in as well. Pinky's a regular now, right? Good morning. An official gumper. Should we have a little gumper ceremony when somebody becomes, when they've put in the time, serve their time as a gumper? What's that taking? A couple of weeks there. I think we're going to honor you now, Pinky, for your extended service and commitment to this community. If only I can find a video. Got a couple of other interesting videos to play you from around the country. A somewhat interesting atmosphere in Portugal at the moment. You're going to get one of these, Pinky. There you go. Parabéns on becoming. I see you. I see you officially as a gumper. History fact from yesterday. Then, my eyes gone immediately to this, and this is going to go up in the Portugal Club as well. Love this sort of information. February the 1st, 1908, the King of Portugal and his older son were murdered in Lisbon with several shots. This was turbulent times in Portugal, of course, and the leading to the end of the monarchy, which at that point was only going to last 2 more years, being replaced. Cliffhanger. No, here we go. In October the 5th, 1910. So that's when, yes, the transition from monarchy to what was it called? Did the next regime identify itself as a democracy thereafter? How was society described after the monarchy here in Portugal, Antonio? And do you think there is something in the air this year, a 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution, of course, and some interesting times around the world, of course. This is as Chinese sages might say, wishing you that you live in interesting times. These are them, are they not? I've been writing about this for the Portugal Resident. And the Portugal Resident piece that I wrote about Paulo Fanassi. My goodness, Paulo's really chuffed and delighted with that. By the way, chuffed in British means happy. I don't know what it means where you're from. Sometimes a chuff has a different meaning. In this context, I am talking about being chuffed as being delighted. And you'll see on the look on this man's face. This is what chuffed looks like, mostly. This is Paulo Fanassi in the south, down there in the Algarve. And he very happy to receive. I sent him a picture. I like to go and buy the Portugal Resident when it comes out on a Thursday. And vainly look at my work, narcissistically look at my article in print. It's an upside down lady there, and you can see a man holding a picture of himself. This is a narcissistic gathering and festival, isn't it? I'm showing a picture of myself live now, of him showing a picture of himself. He's actually featured twice on that page, I think. There's Paulo Fanassi. And the article I wrote about him, Paulo's cricket field of dreams. Build it and they will come. I will come. And who else is up for going and playing cricket when we have a newly opened and fresh cricket field there? And we begin to wish we'd worn other than white-coloured trousers as a young Asian bowler is moving at a very fast pace towards us to hurl a piece of, is it wood or some sort of tightly, densely wrapped fibres coated in leather, hurling towards us at 100 kilometers per hour. What fun! Looking forward to that, Paolo, and your cricket field of dreams. And he's had thousands of views of this picture and links to the article as well. So nice one, Paolo. Glad to have been of service there. If you're involved in any interesting project, initiative, that especially especially well reflects foreigner, immigrant, expat life in Portugal, I'd love to write about it. So just drop me a line and I'll be in touch about that. But well done, Paolo. Let's see if we can get that cricket field of dreams built, and we'll all come, will we not? Who's up for the trip, the coach trip? Funnily enough, one of the greatest records for drinking beer in Portugal, I think, belongs to an English cricket team. There is the Amigos cricket. There is already a cricket club, I think. The Amigos Cricket Club that I think was built in around Garvo's area, central Portugal. That is a cricket mecca, if you like, if I may mix those metaphors. Okay, so good luck to Paolo, and let's get into the chat and see who's here this morning. James was in at 7:45 this morning. Bon dia, Gumpers. Up and Adam, ready for a Feel Good Friday. He's feel good every day, though, of course, as you'll find out if you tune in on Monday. Feliz sexta todos. He doesn't know what a weekend is, and it's feel good all the time for him. And when it's not, he notices, he chooses, and he acts, and he puts it in the back of the net. Como va todos? From James, with a mindful moment. The aim of life is to live, and to live means to be aware, joyously, drunkenly, serenely, divinely aware. Henry Miller, yes, all of life is there, and the aim of life is to live. Thank you very much for that lovely mindful moment. Oh, did you see the very exciting a meme that we opened up with, James, this morning? Now, I know you like astronomy and like a bit of scientific discovery. Did you see the latest pictures from the James Webb Telescope of Uranus this morning, James? I don't know how they managed to capture you in this way, but there you are. There, I'm sorry, there it is. That's extraordinary, isn't it? Cheeky little shot, you might say, of Uranus, so that people don't make silly jokes about it. Let's call it Uranus, and make sure immature people don't have a field day with that beautiful planet immortalized there by the James Webb Telescope. So we've had a mindful moment. Let's have a mindful dad joke. What did the meditation teacher say to the businessman when teaching him meditation? And then that just disappears. So we may have to come back to the punchline of that a little bit later on. Coach Turner, bon dia. E feliz sexta. Well, I was woken at silly o'clock by random religious chanting. I'm sure if you're in the know, it's not random at all. It's probably very meaningful and at a specific time. Or maybe it is just to wind up the tourists or give you a religious, you had a religious awakening by the sound of it there. Perhaps not as not as you might have hoped for or intended. I'm not sure if it was Catholic, tantric or gastric, but bloody annoying. You're in Rome, Coach Turner, you curmudgeon. You can't not expect some random religious chanting if you're close to the center of the Catholic Church there. God Squad tip of the day then. 2 minutes of exercise. Harumph from the coach. 2 minutes of exercise a day is all you need, shouts the headline. High intensity interval training has been lauded as the answer to those of us that are less keen on training. 2 minutes is all you need. You need to prepare for 2 hours, but actually the exercise bit is 2 minutes. Well, it's not quite as simple as that. Oh, it was a clickbait headline. But it does play an important part in improving your overall fitness and health by changing your metabolism. The 2 minute bit is true as well, but yeah, it needs a bit of context like so many things do in our age. However, that doesn't really include warming up, warming down. Yes, there you go, or the rest in between each effort. So in reality, you should allow half an hour. It's not unlike sex, is it really? I mean, you could think that it was 2 minutes is all you need. Some people don't even need that long. Quite honestly, but there is foreplay, and the metaphor I think is strong. I think the metaphor stands up, so to speak. The efforts, let's see if that metaphor can be extended any further, shall we? The efforts can be almost any type of exercise, a little like the stamina work I discussed a couple of days ago. What is important that each effort, yes, 20 to 30 seconds is done to the maximum. Oh, yes, of course. Of course, if you're just starting out, take it more gently and build up over a week or two. Oh, coach, it writes itself. You'll be surprised by the results after a month or so. Yeah, after a month, you would be surprised by the results. Excellent stuff, Coach Turner. Bon dia from Joao de Nort with I've forgotten it again. Why can I not write that to my brain? Not so deep thought, referring quickly to WhatsApp there. Not so deep thought warning. Some say a fine is a tax for doing something wrong. So perhaps tax is a fine for doing something well. You could see it like that if you wanted to. And I was hearing about how harsh the IRS are in the United States. They're like Liam Neeson. I'm going to track you down. I'm going to find you. I'm going to find you, in fact. And if you look at your American passport, it says something about paying taxes alongside Eritrea and North Korea. That came up last night. I think, John, you've mentioned that in the past. So fascinating to talk about all manner of aspects of American taxation. Then they've got something like the physical presence test, which sounds to me like a seance of some kind, like as though they were tax ghosts, which they probably would if they could. And again, I just cannot write that to my brain. Not so deep thought. I really don't know why. It's almost as if it's a Portuguese word that I'm pronouncing wrongly. Before you criticize someone, I really cannot put that in my head. Not so deep thought. Why is that? Because I'm trying too hard now. Not so deep thought. Before you criticize someone, you should walk a mile in their shoes. That way, when you criticize them, you're a mile away from them and you have their shoes. I love that. And this, be honest, that's not the first time we've probably heard that, but it's a classic. It is worthy of repetition. So before you criticize someone, you should walk a mile in their shoes. That way, when you criticize them, you should say these in a very serious, erudite sort of way, shouldn't you? Before you, maybe if you're going to a dinner party this weekend and it's a bit dull, or you're just trying to change the mood or break the ice, perhaps you could just cough. Could I have your attention for a moment? Something has occurred to me. And that thing is, before you criticize someone, you should walk a mile in their shoes. That way, when you criticize them, you're a mile away from them and you have their shoes. And then just leave a really long pause and see what happens. Have a great weekend. Bon dia a todos from FU Facebook user there, FU2. Who is that? The older you get, the more likely you are to be a faded photograph in someone's album with a kid who says, that's kind of serious, isn't it? That's poignant. So not so deep thought. The older you get, the more likely you are to be a faded photograph in someone's album with a kid who says, who's that? Nobody wants to be remembered or not remembered like that, do they? Hola, bon dia from Barry. Rocket red countdown, lift off. We have ignition. 10, 9. Excellent stuff, Barry. Looking forward to you being back. And as I'm sure you are back in Portugal. Olá a todos. GMP's Campos, bom dia. Saudações desde o Minho, em Vila Nova de Saveira. Feliz sexta-feira. É excelente fim de semana. Amanhã, cogida portuguesa, modo transmonte. He's going to have some proper Portuguese cooking in Trás-os-Montes, na praia do Maledo. On the Maledo beach there. Trás-os-Montes style, I'm thinking. Antonio F. Thanks, Antonio Barbosa. From one Antonio to another. Antonio F. Bon dia todos. I need your help with the video I'm going to play. We've got a few events from Bairandi as well, of course, this being Feel Good Friday. 2 years ago today, I was at Cef Lisboa receiving my temporary residency. Excellent. Another wonderful milestone to celebrate. Keep them coming. And we've got Pinky and Frank. Frank Nibley, good to see you, Frank. And a little bit of chat there. Pam Smith thinking of coming over to your way today. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day on the Silver Coast. Pam Smith, good morning to you. Michael Barton also in. Good morning to you. Alcabasa is gearing up for Carnival. Massive tent in place. Excellent. And a beautiful day in Central Portugal, says Pete. Pete also in. Big T, how is it your way? And the initiation ceremony, Pete is in charge of initiation. No, let's not put Pete in charge of initiation ceremonies. That is asking for trouble. Roll one trouser leg up and get your funny handshake ready. I think we should go for a funny trouser leg and a rolled up handshake to really confuse people. I love sunny days in the winter. You can see so far on a clear day. You can see so far, and the sky here is azure blue. That's lovely. Pete, the answer. Yes. So what did the meditation teacher say to the businessman? I want you to take 3 deep, slow breaths and then very slowly let go of your mobile phone. Very good. Excellent stuff there. And along those lines, nice visual dad joke meme sent in. Where's it gone? Flipping heck. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Bear with. It's not a bear. It's actually a dog. And here he is, sat in the lotus position. Come on, inner peace, says this pooch here. And the punchline there, I don't have all day, which you can't see, but I'll read for you. So come on, inner peace. I haven't got all day, sort of thing that businessman might say. Let's ask Bobby, shall we? Bobby, the businessman. Let's ask him when he joins at 9:30, hopefully this morning. Bye, Randy is in. And I've started to get back into shape. Exercise is my secret. Have you had a fallow? Sounds like you might have had a bit of a fallow period there. Or you've been... is it intermittent? Is that intermittent exercise possibly, Antonio? Although it's none of my darn business. Why am I probing? Why am I probing you in this way? By Randy in as well then, and don't worry, Pinky, we won't be having. I don't think we will be having an initiation. Good morning, Portugal, Leela. Now I'm not sure, Leela. It was brought to my attention by Mrs. M that somebody was trying to get you to PM them. And it seemed in what seemed like a bit of a creepy way. And I was wanting to comment when we were live the other day, Leela, if you get propositioned by somebody who says, PM me, I've got something for you, please be careful. You're all grown-ups and you're all adults and you've got to do what you've got to do yourselves. But I don't tolerate that sort of scamming and phishing in our environment here. So I'm sorry I didn't notice that the other day, Leela, and hope that ended well and you were able to tell that person to go, well, whatever was necessary in that moment. Hello from Andrew. Good morning, Andrew from Vila Azul, a new name. Vila Azul Graça, Central Portugal. Tell us more about yourself, Andrew, if you wish. Thank you for being here. On Twitter, that you might be our very first person who's made a comment from Twitter. That's fantastic. Or X, as you can see there on the screen. Stephen White also in. And we have our I'm a meeting on the 15th. So excited. Well done, Barack. That's great news. And not your usual thought. What's my favorite flower? I'd say thistles, but no one listens to me anyway, says Eeyore. Aw. And Colleen Murphy, bon dia a todos. Tenham bon fin de semana. Thanks, Colleen. Morning to you. Thank you for being here. And I've got something that may well stimulate your heart chakra. It did mine. I had a big old feeling from this somewhere between my heart and my gut. And also the farmers' protest. You know, I sent you the Portugal farmer protest, somewhat tongue-in-cheek tribute from, was it Monday or Tuesday morning? Well, things have escalated and the Portuguese farmers, it would appear, are on their way. Well, they certainly were blocking roads yesterday in Portugal. They may well be on their way to join other farmers in Brussels to stick it to the man and hopefully not waste too much food, as we saw some of the French farmers doing the other day. And Erica, I forgot to read or overlook that comment in the hurly-burly the other day. The French farmers apparently were destroying cheap food and maybe rival competitor food. Now, I do understand the sentiment, but let's not waste food, shall we? Why don't let's give it to someone, animals even, but to just be wasting it or setting fire to it just seems really silly to me and counterproductive. But what do I know? Bon dia from a sunny Battaglia from Wayne as well. Good morning to you, Wayne. Lovely full house this morning. Mrs. M's got wind. Is that a question to me? Always, Mrs. M. And we don't know that they were being fished. It just looked like she was. It might have been someone completely legit. Just looked dodgy. Great little message out there. Right. Yeah. I mean, if someone says, contact me, I've got a message for you in a public place, I think that's creepy. But it might have been an error of judgment. These things happen, don't they? Something between your heart and my gut. Wind. You're going to find out in just a moment. Yes, it's not trapped wind, and it's not the trapped stuff you need to be worry about, as the great Wogan used to say. Hey there, just moved to Graça and taken on a rental property. Just getting everything set up. How may we help? Vila Azul, Graça, Central Portugal. Andrew, I think you are. Have we met already? And you've just created, or you're just reaching out as Vila Azul there, Andrew. And tell us more about it. Vila Azul sounds beautiful, the blue villa in Central Portugal. Right. Let me see if I can stimulate your chakras here with something that I saw on Twitter. And then I'll show you where things have got to with the Portuguese farmers as well. First of all, let's go to Porto. And we might need a little bit of context and background from Antonio well, one of the Antonios, either Antonio Barbosa or Antonio F. What's happening here, Antonios? Well, how about that? Thank you very much, Antonios, supplying the answers there. Police rally, and they are singing the national anthem in a country where it's still okay to be patriotic, it would appear. I loved hearing that, but maybe that's just because I'm a soppy foreigner. I don't know. Yeah, PSP and GNR demonstration, national anthem being sung by them. 20,000 or thousands of, I mean, that was a number I saw on Portuguese media before really understanding what was going on there. 20,000 police officers and, yes, being thoroughly patriotic, singing the national anthem. And you're not going to argue, are you, with thousands of police officers? Good time to go shoplifting as well, while you've got thousands of police officers elsewhere in the country. Love the unity. Not recommending you go shoplifting. It was a joke. And that's in front of the City Hall in Porto there. Amazing. Quite incredible. And I'm guessing they have amassed to seek better conditions. Is that right? Their PSP and GNR demonstration. No PJ officers there, because there are three branches of the police, of course, or policing, I should call it. The GNR are more guards, aren't they? And more of a military style, a bit like the gendarmes possibly of France. But yeah, three kinds of policing: PSP, GNR, and PJ. The PJ not joining them. They are claiming the same rights as the PJ. So the PJ. And let's go to the farmers now. So that's the police officers who are seeking better conditions and wanting to be on a par with the PJ. I guess they're the sort of white collar cops, aren't they, the PJs? And let's see what's going on with the farmers now.
Agora precisamos de músculo aqui. Agora vamos para aí e ninguém tira a gente dali. Alguém tira a gente dali.
So I showed a picture of one tractor on Monday or Tuesday. There are a few more taking part now. And I wonder what those, I think maybe Savvy Cat Ana might be able to tell us what those gentlemen were saying. It sounded a bit to me like if that was in the UK, it would be a Yorkshireman going, "What the bloody hell's going on here then? I'm bloody late for work, me. Get these bloody tractors out of the way." But I wonder if that's what was being said in Portuguese there. Let's give her a nice big round of applause and bring her onto the screen. I give you Savvy Cat Ana, everybody. Good morning to you. Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Bom dia.
Good
How
to
have
see
you been the past
I-
month?
Well, that's flown by for one thing, isn't it, Anna? It's already February. What's happening?
Yeah, it's actually definitely was quite fast.
It was, wasn't it? So it wasn't just me then. You've had a busy month, I take. Well, you're always pretty busy, aren't you? Savvy Cat HQ.
It's
So
trying
it's
to
been
be.
a fast one. What's been going on for you? How is the world of Savvy Cat?
Well, it's quite good because the start of the year tends to be good for us because there's also people that do their New Year resolutions of moving. So that's a good thing for Savvy Cat as a business. And I guess that this is when you are looking to move into a different country, it's a very big challenge and a very long process. So the sooner you start, the better, of course. And a lot of people like to start at the beginning of the year.
Very good, very good. And I heard last night there was a question asked on a session that I was hosting last night that seemed to be a few more rentals on Idealista. Is it a seasonal thing? And the theory that was given last night was a little bit poignant, because it was apparently a lot of Portuguese people have that same resolution to not to be moving to Portugal, but go elsewhere. And it was suggested that there are a few more rentals available because Portuguese people are leaving the country and are putting their homes up for rent here, which is good news if you're looking for somewhere to rent. Would you agree with that theory? And more generally, do you think there's more inventory coming onto the market?
I think that's a factor, yes, but it depends actually on the area too. But for example, in Lisbon, thankfully the market has been deflating a bit, so you have been seeing a bit of decrease in prices and a bit more availability on the market. I'm not sure if it's due to what you are saying, Portuguese people leaving, or if it's due to a reduction in foreign interest due to the whole the NHR situation not being available anymore. But overall, I think it's a positive thing because honestly, things were way too inflated.
Okay, all right. So good theories and insight into what's going on there. And of course, you published a video in the last few weeks as well, looking at changes, other influences on the real estate market there, with quite the title, I think, of your last video. Is it becoming more dangerous to buy? This isn't about supply, is it? This is about, I suppose, terms and conditions of buying in Portugal and what the government have been up to make it even more difficult, you might argue. So can you tell us more about that?
So yeah, our lovely government, the whole thing of simplex, the measurements that they were scheduled to launch to simplify and improve the market situation. And some of them make sense, some of them don't. And one of the measures that I find doesn't make a lot of sense is that they decided that it's no longer mandatory to show a habitation license and technical file when you are buying a property. So I find that to be rather odd. I understand that there are properties that are stuck in the market because they are illegal and there might be a need to move them. I definitely don't think this was the right way to do that. I think that an exception should be made for those properties so that in specific cases you can make the transaction without those documents. I don't think that the documents should have been overall nullified on the deed because they are quite important documents.
Okay, all right. So what do you think should have been done? Just leave it alone, or I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? When you have, it's a bit like the tax code, isn't it? When you just keep adding things to try and presumably fix a previous problem, you're creating a new problem all the time, aren't you? And the law often works in that way as well. Just keep adding, and things become more complex. And the original idea disappears long into the rearview mirror as something that's almost been forgotten about. So, what would be your suggestion in that instance?
I think that the logic they say behind this solution is that it was to simplify the buying process.
Right.
I think that the buying process isn't that bad. Having these two documents, they are quite important documents. And I mean, they still will be mandatory if you are looking for a loan and so on. But I think it definitely makes it more risky to buy in Portugal because unless you have someone that is representing just you as a buyer, it makes it a lot easier to get a bad deal or to get something that is not legal and you are not even aware because it's no longer mandatory to show these documents. Okay. So I don't agree with that at all. And like I was saying, I think if it was because of the whole trying to move immovable property due to legal situations, I think an exception should be made, as in if the property has been on the market for X time, or I don't know, some kind of exception, those documents can be forfeit. It shouldn't have just been removed for everyone.
Do you think maybe a little bit of political posturing just before the election? You asked us to take action. There you go. There's some action for you.
Well, there are other things that were proposed that I think are rather positive, but like everything, there are the pros and the cons. A lot of these things are related to licensing and the bureaucratic processes of building and so on. Some things were facilitated. There were some requirements on building. For example, it was mandatory to have a bidet in a bathroom, and the kitchens, the requirements were very strict. Like, for example, it was very hard to license kitchenettes because they weren't considered a proper kitchen. And some of those requirements have been loosened, so it's no longer required to have a bidet in an apartment for it to be legal.
Wow.
And it's also easier to get smaller kitchens licensed and kitchenettes and so on, which I think it's positive. And one of the most significant changes, in my opinion, was actually the whole thing around the licensing times. So, as you probably know, licensing in Portugal is a pain, a very big pain, and a very, very slow thing. It can take anywhere between 3 months and 2 years to get things processed in town halls. And it is particularly frustrating because there is this whole thing where you have 30 business days deadline that they should reply to you. But what they often did was that once that period was finishing, they would request a minor document or a minor change in order to restart the period. And it just would go on for way too long. So one of the things that was changed that I believe is quite positive is that they are no longer allowed to do that, and the deadlines are final. They did, however, change the way that the deadlines worked. So it used to be 60 business days for everything. And then there was this whole thing where those days could be restarted by asking documentation. And now it's different. So for small projects, I'm not sure exactly of the sizes right now, but I believe it's under 300 square meters. It is the 60 business days. Then up to 500 something, it's 120. And then over 1,000 something square meters, it's 300 business days.
Okay, so that's going to be good, right?
Yeah, I think 300 business days, it's a long time, but I think it makes a lot more sense than just being able to restart the licensing every time they ask for something.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds awful, doesn't it? You could be in an awful time loop with that. And it does sound like a move in the right direction, if not ultimately the best solution. But will it be like, when people are applying a VFS or a consulate and they're told it's a certain number of business days and then they don't hear anything? And clearly the law has been breached, but actually nothing happens. How will this be enforced, do you think?
Yeah, that's the thing, because right now, if they don't get the license within that period, they get something called deferimento tácito. Deferimento tácito is basically an automatic approval due to the government not keeping their end of the bargain, so not keeping with the deadline. So in these situations, if they don't do the things within those deadlines, the projects will be automatically approved, which I think it's a good thing. But like everything, it also has the risks. And one of the risks is that if projects that aren't correctly made, like aren't in line with certain regulations, like the municipal guidelines, or have something that is actually illegal, although that they get automatically approved, the works can still be mandated to stop because they don't comply with legal things. However, if everything is aligned on the initial project, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so kind of good news, it would appear, or at least a move in the right direction. So that's great. Anything else that people need to be aware of in these recent legal changes that has come to your attention?
So the tax on alojamento local seems to have been approved after all. The special tax on alojamento local. It is going to be, I think it's between 19 and 35 euros per square meter, depending on the type of property and profit and everything else. From what I read, it was approved kind of on the last minute thing. So the regulation, they were supposed to launch the whole regulation on how this was calculated. And once again, they didn't launch it within the deadline that they set. And they launched it in the last day of the year, last year. And so there are still speculation on whether or not and how this will go, because it will launch outside of the deadline and kind of in the last day of the year. But theoretically, it should be applied this year. And it says that this charge will be made, I believe, in September in 2024.
Right. And just rewinding back a little bit, am I right in thinking, did you say that bidets are no longer a requirement in Portuguese building code in certain types of property?
The buildings?
The bidet, yeah, the bidet installation in bathrooms. Did I hear that when you?
Yes.
Right, okay,
because it used to be mandatory to have a bidet.
Yeah, and then you've got the foreigners coming in thinking, I don't think I'm going to be using that because it's not for a lot of people. It's not a cultural thing, and then they realise, when they're doing building work, that it needed to be. It was in the code, wasn't it? So is this just general?
The thing is, the plan has to have space for a bidet, but it didn't actually need to be installed. But you still would have to have the pre-installation, like the water connection and so on. You didn't mandatorily have to put the bidets itself. You could put something else there, but it had to be possible to install a bidet in at least one bathroom in any legal apartment or house.
But that's no longer the case, or that is the new law? It's no longer the case. Wow. But that must have been someone very attached to the idea. Can you imagine that wrangle in the parliament? Right, we want to get rid of these things. Nobody uses them anymore. Well, I'm really uncomfortable about this. Okay, you can get rid of it, but it needs to be possible to fit one if somebody wants one in the future. Okay, it's a deal.
Actually, that law hasn't been. It was made 50 years ago. So
really, that's incredible, isn't it? So clearly, Portuguese people culturally attached to the bidet, which is always a source of amusement. I think it was Katia Lima who wrote a very good article about the use of the bidet here in Portugal. Great stuff. Anything else to report then, Savvy Cat Ana?
Yeah, there was some other changes regarding making the licensing projects more simple and giving more responsibility to the technician, so it's faster to do the processes. Overall, I think that this is going to take a while to adapt. As you know, public services aren't exactly known for being quick on their adaptation skills.
Well, yes.
So I'm curious to see how this will all actually play out, because I think town halls will take quite a while to adapt to these changes. But overall, I think the changes are positive.
Very good. It's good to hear that. Excellent. And I'm reminded that I started in a fit of pique.
Other than the license thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Notwithstanding the license thing. Now, I'm reminded that recently we had a call. I can't remember from which government department, but it was. I think we called a helpline and got some fantastic help. And I was immediately inspired to start a Facebook group to report such things. It's like the opposite of the complaints book. I think it's really important where we get great service and cheerful service from government workers, that we might even say, this person in Alcobaça office or in Caldas da Rainha was really great. Thank you so much. And then we kind of start to change this, great.
But there is actually something called the livro de elogios. That is what you are saying, like the opposite of the complaint book is like the compliment book. and some business places have it, but it's of course not something mandatory.
No, we want the complaints book is a legal requirement, but the smiley book, yeah, not so much. And I suppose people in a way expect good service, don't they? So they don't want to have to go the extra.
That's the irony, though. I think Portuguese people don't expect good service on public service at all. We actually get surprised when we get some good service. I know that happened to me some time ago. I needed something. I don't know if I think it was from Segurança Social, and it's usually horrible to deal with Segurança Social. So I was expecting it for it to be a pain, because it usually is. But then the lady that I got was really, really nice, and I was just surprised, like,
Shocked.
wow, that went a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah. Why is there an ambulance outside this office? Oh, somebody had some really good service and it shocked them. They went into a state of shock, and we thought we'd call a paramedic just in case. Wow, how lovely to hear. And what was the name of that? What's the name of the good book? The Book of Smiles?
Livro de Elogios.
Elogios. How lovely. Yes, remember where you heard it first.
Like compliment book.
Yeah, and it's like, has anyone seen the compliment book? No, no one's asked for it for 3 years.
You actually see it in some usually private establishments. They sometimes, you have the paper that you have to do for the complaint book, with usually red with some white parts, and then often next to you have the thing saying we have a compliment book. So
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks for letting us know about that this morning on Feel Good Friday. Now, there's a little bit of a conversation going on in the chat. Let's say a few hellos as well. Lovely to see you here, Andrew, from Villa Azul, Graça. That's the place where you're living, in central Portugal by the sound of it. Loved watching your shows from the UK. Now I'm here. That's wonderful. We'd love to see that transition. And I'm presuming it's northern Travança near Mancelos Ligia. My family are from there. No, I don't think it's a central Portugal one of the Travança for Barak, as far as I'm aware. And yes, Andrew and I have spoken in the past. Loved your wine reviews. Very funny watching you all get tipsy. I love Andy. So, sorry, I added the love there. Next Monday, we'll be if you want to join us for the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, first Monday of the month. So that will be the 5th of February, next Monday evening at 8 o'clock. Grab a bottle from the Alentejo. Nobody, surely at Savvy Cat Ana, no one's going to struggle to find a bottle of red wine from the Alentejo, are they? If they go
thankfully, it's very easy to find wine in Portugal.
Yes, so there you go. The compliments book and a bottle of wine. It's going to be Feel Good Monday as well. So grab a bottle from the Alentejo and come onto the screen. Join us as we have a little sip of Alentejo wine and talk about it. And that was the police demonstration. I don't know if you saw that bit there. The police who were claiming the same rights as the PJ. They get paid peanuts, says Pete. And no way it's 20,000 cops there, as the PSP and GNR have some 45,000 in the entire country. Maybe their families and friends were there as well. Or I think, as Pete was pointing out, maybe Donald Trump was in charge of the head count. Very good. We have a new news from Alcobaça. We have a new co-work place opening soon in Alquibi. These are popping up all over this is a part of the digital nomad trend, I suppose, isn't it, Savvy Cat? And are you seeing this happening around the country as well? Co-work places?
Yes, I'm definitely seeing a steep increase in co-working places. I think they only started showing up in the last, 5 years or so. They were very, very rare before that. And I would say that most of them get filled quite quickly. So it's actually in most places, even here in Porto, where you have a bunch of them, a lot of them are at full capacity. So I would say there's definitely a demand for it.
Very good. And Pam, my mate, was telling me about a wonderful dinosaur park near you. Now, I'm guessing that is Lourinhã, the fantastic town dedicated to dinosaurs, really, when you go there. There's a dinosaur in every roundabout. His son had learned every detail of every dinosaur, and he's only 4. It's a fantastic place. Have you been there, Anna?
Yes.
Lourinhã is great, isn't it? You can even get chicken. You get dinosaur nuggets. that we've enjoyed there as well. Or were they croquet potatoes? Anyway, everything is dinosaur themed over there, and very, very nice staff and a great experience. Yes, it's in Loriña. Been there twice, says Antonio F. It's called Dino Park Loriña. And this thing of changing the law or the tax code, yes, it's like installing more programs when your computer needs a reboot. Yes, absolutely like that. We need more examples and fewer laws. I think I saw long ago on the banks of the River Thames. Yes, more examples and fewer laws. Good morning from Boaz then, who suggested that to us. Lovely to see you here, Boaz. How are you? Isn't Portugal marvellous? Ain't it marvellous? Dinosaurs in the morning and the beach and the waves in the afternoon. Absolutely. Loriña, not that far from the coast, of course, as well in Peniche. Bon fin de semana from Aviva Ocean Dweller over there in Madeira. And the question for you, Anna, who would decide if it's aligned? The architect or the lawyer? Do you remember that what that refers to?
Neither one. It's basically there is a pre-existing there is something called the PDM, so the municipal plan for urbanism, and the PDM it regulates how construction is made and what you can and cannot do. And then there's also legal requirements by law for construction, like this whole BDAT thing and other changes. There are some restrictions that are made and so on and so forth, and some minimum requirements. So if you don't comply with those, then you are not complying with the law. It's not about either the architects or the lawyers. It's about the pre-existing laws and requirements that should actually be consulted when you are developing the project. So it's overall a matter of responsibility of the person that is submitting. But I would say I'm not so sure that everyone is responsible. So we will see.
Okay, excellent. Who would decide then if it's aligned the architect or the lawyer? There's your answer there, Boaz. And yeah, nice to see you here. Bon dia all from Jackie, the humble crafter. How you doing? Michael Whitby is in as well. Bon dia todos. I'm hoping you'll be there on Monday for the wine club, Michael and Kat. Bon dia todos de Virase. Great sunny morning. Water temperature up to 16 now. Sounds like you're going into the water. I did on Monday or Tuesday evening. It was fantastic in San Martino de Porto. Squire of the Shires, bon dia todos, off to the docks. We'll catch up later. Is that our dock? Dock Andy, you in Leria, or just generally speaking there? Good luck anyway with that, Squire. Morning to you. And is the Livro de Elogios available online like the Livro de Reclamações, the complaints book?
I actually don't know that. I was asking myself that before. I'm not sure. Because I've mostly seen it physical. So honestly, I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. This is Jackie continuing with her comments. I hope you're having a beautiful day. That's lovely, Jackie. Thank you very much. And hiya to me. Great to see the lovely Savvy Cat here. Another fab channel for great advice. Wonderful. And talking about, this was the guest book, not the complaints book or the compliments book. I saw what Carl wrote in the book in his favorite museum in Coimbra. That was in the Erotic Museum of Coimbra, which is a very interesting place. Have you been there, Savvy Cat Ana?
Actually, I haven't. I was just, I don't know that one.
It's extraordinary. I was quite shocked. Am I easily? Yeah, I'm quite vanilla, I suppose. So it was quite a shocking experience for me. And to be in there with, two other giggling men who are also a bit uncomfortable, it was really quite awkward, but funny as well, because they've got some really hilarious things in there. And I wrote in the guest book, this is disgusting. More, please. And I think Bobby said, yes, this place should be burnt to the ground and a bigger one built in its place. I've not been to the Dino Park in Loriña. Maybe we'll make the trip if we have visitors with kids. Do you know what?
Really nice. And the kids usually love it. I remember it was one of the favorite things of my brother when he was young. We would go there on purpose every now and again.
Yeah, and you don't have to be with kids or have kids to go there. You'd be fine walking about because it's mainly outdoors, and it's, if anything, it's a lovely walk in the woods with lots of great big dinosaurs around you. Some of them are animatronic, as I recall as well. Wine from Stabal next Monday. Oh, am I mistaken? So it's not an Alentejo wine; it's a Stubs wine, perhaps. Can we have confirmation on that then, please, Michael? And what's that? Same. Cheers. Nice and sunny in the Algarve. Okay. Yes. Good to see you, Boaz. And Antonio, after the Humble Crafter, Jackie, gym session already done, now at work with a sunny day, and it's Friday. There's a Feel Good Friday right there. Wow, that's lovely that you're listening to us whilst working. More of that, please, Portugal. Well, you've been busy, Antonio F. I've had 2 cups of tea and done nothing yet, sat on the boat there in the UK. Fantastic. So these are farmers then here in Portugal. Do I recall correctly that some of your ancestors have been in farming here in Portugal, or at least keen to own as Savvy Cat Ana?
Yes, I have an uncle that has a big plot of land in Douro, and he does cultivation of, and he even has his own wine and does almonds and some other crops. So, yeah.
That's superb. Now, this is gathering ground. I made a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek video earlier on in the week because I saw a tractor driving past into my street. And I said, "Yeah, it's the Portugal farmers' protest," but it has escalated. And we played a video of how some roads in Portugal were shut down by farmers on tractors, taking on some of the conditions that they're finding prohibitive to their work. And just to give you a scale, a sense of how important I think farming is here in Portugal, according to the CAP, the Agricultural Policy Strategic Plan, there are over 250,000 active farms here in Portugal, which cover around 3.6 million hectares of utilised land. 80% of them are family farms, and there are 39% female farmers in the Portugal agricultural labour force. Portuguese agriculture is highly varied, with significant diversity in climate, topography, and soil conditions. The sectors with the largest production are wine, of course, cereals, fruit and veg, olive oil, pig meat, and poultry. However, the primary sector only contributes to less than 3% of the country's total of the country's economy, the total GVA. That's interesting, isn't it? And that tells you a lot, doesn't it? That even though the farmers contribute so much to our lives, they are a small part of the economy. You could argue what they're doing is not taken that seriously, but that's not an invitation to put up the prices of wine and food, is it?
No, I think things are set up in a way that are very unsustainable from the people that are at the start of the chain, and this is farmers, because the way that things often work is that, like that article was saying, most of the small farms and crops are small scale crops, and then usually there are local cooperativas. So basically, I don't know how you translate that to English right now, but just groups of farms that come together. And usually those cooperativas get the legal part of things, to get the seals of safety and all of that, because that is often a significant cost that it's not worth it for small producers to have.
Yep.
So often these cooperativas then produce the final product by joining several of these small farms together, and this can be wine or olive oil or whatever that is. But generally, the costs that the sellers themselves sell their product, it's ridiculously low. Because then it's the whole thing of you sell to the cooperativas, then the cooperativas often sell to the supermarkets, and the supermarkets sell to the public. Mm-hmm. And usually who has the biggest profit is the supermarkets, and they often offer absolutely absurd prices to the farmers. And like you were saying, this is a problem, of course, because people don't want to pay more, but farmers don't really want to work for free either. And it's a very labor intensive work that less and less people are willing to do. And yep. For example, in my uncle's farm, we are talking about a plot of land in the side of Douro that is not easy land. It's a very steep land, very rocky, and so on. It's it's land that it's fertile, but very hard to cultivate. And I don't know internationally, but I would guess that from an international perspective, our farmers are very underpaid.
Yep.
And this is likely also a technology issue. Like, I believe it's the Netherlands that have a huge export of agricultural products and one of the highest production rates per square meter. And often this is due to technology farms, the vertical farms and so on. And you don't see a lot of that here in Portugal yet. And I think there's a lot of room for improvement in this sector.
Yep, and it's a shame, isn't it, when a sector is only judged by its contribution in monetary terms to the economy, that can miss out how important its contribution is in other ways, socially and as part of the community as well. I think we just need a new value system to make sure those people prosper. Rather than have their conditions made more difficult and eventually go out of business. That's the worst case scenario.
And it's ironic because Portuguese is known for having some of the best product around. So we often
Absolutely.
export our products as luxury product because we have really good soil and tend to have really good product, like oranges and blueberries and so on. It's
so many
all
things
that are considered luxury in certain countries. Like, we used to export a lot, for example, to Russia, and it's Portuguese fruits there were considered the top of luxury.
It's happening to Brazil, and I will get a company on from Caldas da Rainha who can't find enough apples and pears to send to Brazil. But there's something wrong with the whole picture of agriculture, isn't there? And I think we need to reframe it and reappraise it and be more supportive to the farmers. So good luck to them in their endeavours. Can you stay with us for a little bit longer, Savvy Cat Ana? Bobby won't be joining us, but Siobhan is on the line and going to be joining us now from our quinta, who's been known to grow a bit of food and might have something to say about farming. Good morning to you, Sean. You would have heard our comments there about farmers and how important it is to value the work they do. Have we seen any tractors rolling through Salida de Porto yet?
Any tractors?
Yes. The bay isn't blocked, I take it, this morning.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't been down to the bay, so I have no idea what's going on down there. But I think it's interesting what you guys are talking about in farming. Yeah, here at the Quinta, we do produce a little bit for ourselves, but not much more than that. And what Abby was saying about soils is, as we do have very rich soils here in Portugal, we also struggle with soils in Portugal. So here at the Quinta, thanks to my fellow friend there, my best friend behind me, as you can see, he's there.
We've managed the horse, right?
The horse. We've managed to change a lot of our soil, enrich it with his valuable horse manure, which has changed a lot. And yeah, for the grocery stores and all that, Abby, you're right. There's nothing to say, right? There's certain things that aren't balanced yet. And agricultural production, hopefully Portuguese products will get more support. They won't turn too chemical, too forced. And see where we're going. But we're actually lucky because I do see changes when it comes to the grocery shops. Like, we're on a plan where they donate, Auchan from Caldas donates all their fruits and vegetables that cannot be consumed by humans any longer. They come off the shelf, they all come to us. So that's always good. And then whatever's not consumed by the animals goes back in the soil. So I think on a small scale, lots of farmers are trying to do these little things. Obviously, this isn't our profession, so it's not the same. But still, everyone's trying, and hopefully we'll keep the Portuguese heritage nice and pure and healthy.
It's very important. It's very important to this culture, isn't it? Farming. So let's see what we can do to support the farmers. And it's a complex.
But yeah, that's actually a very good point, because one of the things that was a trend internationally was to have these huge productions that tend to be highly dependent on chemicals. And that's not a huge thing in Portugal. I mean, there are some huge hectares of farmland, especially in Alentejo, and usually very focused on olives. But overall, I think we are still very balanced when it comes to chemical use. And for example, Brazil, like you were saying, exporting to Brazil, and I do have a tight relationship with Brazil and go there every year. And one of the things that really bothers me in Brazil is exactly the quality of food, like food and vegetables, how unnatural they are and how different the flavor is, and it literally tastes like chemicals in most of the cases. And as a Portuguese person that grew up even in a farm where I could even climb the trees and eat the fruits directly from there,
Wonderful.
it's just, I never, only when I became an adult, I realized how much of a privilege that is.
Yeah. Well, why would you? You
Well,
would you, if that's what you grow up with, that's what you think is normal. And you make a really good point about Brazil, and that's presumably why. This is a wonderful company. It's the Pomar de Marialva, just outside Caldas de Rainha, and met with the family who've been growing. They've had orchards for, I think, 3 or 4 generations. And their big business opportunity is exporting to Brazil. And you can't blame them for that. It's kind of insane in another way, isn't it, that we are flying fruit around the world in the way that we are. But you can't, and for the reasons you've given, Anna, if there's massive technological agriculture going on in Brazil, as I recall when I was in California, big fruit, great looking fruit, but with no taste. It's all kind of
Yeah, and another thing is that those tend to be very intensive cultures that often
Yes.
completely ruin the soils.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Because
So,
they don't really
also-
do the crop rotation.
yeah,
Carl-
well said.
Carl, I think that's also, as you know, for our nonprofit, for our project that we have here on a Quinta, we work a lot with the younger generation. And for me, that's my biggest concern, is that, great, we have these farmers that have been going on for generations and generations that are doing amazing things, but we've got to get the younger generations involved and realize how it's not just a game. We're not just doing this to play outside. It's also because what are we going to do in the future?
Well said.
There's,
Yeah,
very,
well
there's
said.
very few younger generations, and that's what we need, is the younger generation to kick in and start taking over those farms, being involved, learning the traditions, learning how you can do it without just a speedy chemical process. And that, for me, is my biggest concern, is the next generation. What are we doing to help that next generation to keep these traditions? And this is all over the world, not only Portugal, but preserving the land and creating our food, but in a healthy way.
Well said. Well
I
said.
think one of the
that,
big
for me,
issues
is the
on that,
biggest concern.
Yeah.
for us, the young generation, I think that one of the big things is how labor intensive that is and how little monetary reward that is for that kind of
That's
work.
right.
Like,
That's exactly the
I
problem.
I have a bunch of lands that are inherited from my father, and these are very fertile lands. These are very good lands in Aveiro area. And I looked into developing biofarming projects and so on. And overall, I ended up giving up on it because even the agricultural engineer that I consulted at the time, he was like, okay, you should probably do the chemical at the start because there's a very high risk of losing the whole crop. And until the crops are grown, it's better not to do bio and only start doing bio after everything is secure. And then even with the incentive programs for rural development and crop development and so on, it still required a fairly heavy investment, and the return is very slow. It takes a lot of years to get return on it. And then it also required for one of us, so we are 3 brothers, to be full-time on that and also be on like a training program sponsored by the government and so on.
Wow.
So overall, I it's not that I think it's a bad thing. It's just that it ends up not making a lot of sense to a lot of people because of how slow everything is, and it's like you have to put a lot of money and you only start seeing it back like 5 to 10 years after.
Yeah, and
For
the
sure.
problem
And
is,
I think, sorry, Carl, go ahead. Yeah, this is a
well,
subject
I'm
I'm on.
I think it's a great subject to be talking about. And it doesn't make sense in an insane society, does it? With the values we've got, the problem is characterized as it's too much work for too little money. And that's based on the values of our society, isn't it? Whereas if you look at it from the point of view of how wholesome it is from a bigger perspective to be growing food for people and for people to be involved in growing food and growing the food they eat and their families eat and their communities eat, that
And
makes
it's not just that.
sense.
It's also the whole available capital. Like young people, they tend not to have a lot of disposable capital. So it's very hard for us to invest, like, let's say 10,000, 30,000 into something that we will only be seeing back 5 to 10 years later.
Right, absolutely. And again, that's how economics work in our culture, right? In a longer sighted, if you thought 7 generations ahead, that would be a blink of an eye, wouldn't it? But if you think half a generation ahead or to next week, that makes no sense at all. Siobhan, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No. It's good. It's interesting. It's a subject we could talk for hours and hours and hours about. And I think it's all about sustainability, and sustainability means also, that it's sustainable for us human beings. Yeah. Sustainability is not only people thinking about, we're going to plant the perfect bio plant. No, it's called, we should be doing reasonable farming. So sometimes there are chemicals involved, I think, for it to be sustainable, and then find a way that it can be sustainable for everybody. But that means living also for young people, giving them chances, not just young people, everybody. Today, that's, when people talk about us, like at the Quinta, yes, we're a permaculture farm. Yes, we don't use any chemicals. We do our very best, but I still drive a diesel truck. Why do I drive a diesel truck? Because I don't have the means to drive a non-diesel truck. So every time I go down to the beach and I clean, I don't know how many thousands of kilos of plastic, and then I drive back up the road with my diesel truck, and everyone says, well, why are you doing that? And I said, because that's all I can sustain at this point. I don't have other options. If I had other options, I would do it. And I think people don't realize that that's exactly what we're all talking about, is it has to be sustainable for everybody. And sustainable means that everybody has to live as well. So
and economic sustainability, I think it's one of the big problems on agriculture in Portugal, because there is none.
Exactly. And that's where the support is needed.
Yeah, the prognosis is not a good one, and this is understandable why the farmers are protesting, and why we might support them. Many of our farmers worldwide, says Michael, live on small margins. I met a pig farmer 2 weeks ago who lost everything during COVID. This is very sad, isn't it? He ended up killing half of his 4,000 hogs there. Now he drives a cab. I believe the cooperative movement started in Rochdale in the 19th century, and I think it's alive and well, fair to say, here in Portugal, at least for the time being, Pam. Part of the problem rests on the hypermarkets, the larger supermarkets, as they impose prices and rules on farmers. They take their production, but for a very small profit, and sell it very expensive. And of course, we play our part in that because we don't want to pay too much for food necessarily. Refood, Alcabasa, and probably others donate any food not suitable for human consumption for animals. Reducing food waste is one of their main principles. That's fantastic, Pam, and Pam works over there. We have an agricultural school in Alcabasa that does a lot of good work, and no one wants to do physical work. They want to sit at a desk all day and then go to the gym to get fit. No, that's not true at Quinta, is it? This weekend, if you want to get fit, cleaning the beach, as Siobhan was talking about.
Carl, please, Pamela, please reach out to us. If you have programs or things that are for young children, we're fighting on our end to get the kids involved. And it's not just to be farmers or in agriculture professionally, but to, more and more people are buying land out here. Why in Portugal? Just to have a tiny little place to grow their own fruits and vegetables. You know that, Carl. Have your own eggs. The more stuff we do all together, we help each other out. I think, there we can make our little difference. And yes, beach clean this weekend. I'm making brunch and then beach clean. And everyone's really lucky because the tide's low at 3:00. So we have time for brunch, and nobody has to wake up at 6:00 in the morning to come clean the beach with me. Everyone's welcome. You can sign up online. Because that's why most people don't come, is because I get up too early. It should be fun on Sunday, and we'll see you there, Carly.
That's put me on the spot, isn't it? Fantastic. Maybe I will. That's this coming Sunday, isn't it? And the link for that's on our lovesndp.com San Martino de Porto website. I'll just put the link for that into the chat. But that's a great shout. So you can get brunch, and then is it brunch before or after the beach clean?
Brunch is at 11. Yeah. And then we'll be heading down to the beach all together. And it's going to be at the main beach, starting in Salir at the dunes and then heading around the bay. We're doing that to make sure it's a very accessible beach clean, because sometimes I'm known for taking people a little bit on the harder beaches. So everyone's welcome. You can bring your kids. My
Is it
cousin's coming who is special needs. So, we've really made it so this Sunday it's really a family and event, and everybody can do it. You don't have to have special hiking shoes or anything.
you
And the weather
local legends?
should be good.
So it's not beach clean boot camp. It's an easier
Yeah,
one.
no. This is BBC Beach Brunch Clean. So yeah, it should be nice. Get
All right.
everybody together.
Wonderful. And you've been busy. Savvy Cat Ana's going to love this. I didn't realize you hadn't met before. So Siobhan over at Quinta Salida de Porto and Savvy Cat Ana Caramujo here. I thought you might have known each other from before. This you'll like, I think, Anna. This is something that Siobhan's doing at the print on demand part of the operation. The Silver Coast Cattery. You've been organising some rather nice decalization. Is that what you call it? Are these
decals? Yeah, that's the car we just finished. Very happy. Now, just to explain so people understand, it's nothing to do with the Quinta. When I try and explain to people what the Quinta is a non-profit organization that we started, an association. It's kind of, I'm not very religious, so this is my church. Okay, it's something we're passionate about, so that's the Quinta project. And then my business on the side is a printing company that we've started. And as you see, the Cattery had their car done this week by us. So it's we're pretty proud of it. It took quite a few hours. And that's what we're doing. And yes, on the printing side of things, we're getting very, very busy doing T-shirts, sweatshirts, branding for people, cars, signage, shop fronts, a little bit of everything. And our big thing is really like working with the customers directly. Because obviously there's a lot of online stuff that you can go direct, but ours is really a customer service thing. So from the beginning, A to Z, run around to Lisbon, everywhere. So yeah, that's the print. So Carl knows he has a few mugs, and I have a box of mugs I have to do for you, Carl, as well. So yeah,
this is where I get my mugs from these days. Not flying them all over the world, but just around the corner on the other side of the bay.
So Savvy Cat, you could think that's funny that we're actually doing a print business. So obviously we're using a lot of vinyl as well. So once again, it's a sustainability thing, and we do offer an eco-friendly printing source, and we are doing organic cottons and recyclable plastics, etc. But once again, we try and do our best not to waste and serve the customer what they need with a product that lasts a long time. That's it.
Superb. Excellent stuff. So I'm going to be going and doing a few more events listings after we've said goodbye this morning, but it'd be great just to get some final words from you as we head into the weekend and answer just a couple more questions and comments here. We've got there's also a Fruta Feia, the Ugly Fruit, a cooperative that sells ugly fruit and veggies that supermarkets refuse for how it looks, but it's perfectly fine. And they sell it cheap for the public. So that's Ugly Fruit. And hi to the lovely horse behind Siobhan. What's your horse's name, Siobhan?
Oh, he's looking straight at us. He's hungry. He's actually a Portuguese Lusitano. I don't know if you can see, but he likes to be muddy. He's a chic horse, but he likes to be as muddy as he's like me. His name is Veron, which is a Spanish name. So his breeder was French and gave my Portuguese horse a Spanish name. His name is Varon, like Baron. Oh. Yeah. So we've had to deal with some of the ego problems we've had because of that, because he's actually Portuguese. So
he's got an identity crisis.
He has traveled around the world with me. His parents were Portuguese. I bought him in France off a breeder. My friends took him to England with me, and when we decided to come back to Portugal, that was the only condition, was that we could afford to bring the horse back first. So then he traveled in luxury, and we traveled in not so much luxury. So he goes everywhere.
He's home, isn't he? He's in his spiritual home as a Lusitano.
He completely is, and even his health and everything, it just balanced out. And people think I'm crazy, but the minute he got here, he's much more rustic. He's much happier. He goes on the beach with me when we're allowed, of course, before we cause an uproar in the winter. He lives with goats. And he's a very happy chap, and he loves it because every time we ride in the market ladies always run out to give him apples. So he's like, and now he's a big part of his food now is actually fruits and veggies coming off the market from Auchan. So that's great.
Wow.
And he lives with the goat.
He's living an enviable diet that a lot of humans here would like, I think. Verdad, Pamela, if you earn money on the end of a call center line than killing yourself a farm. What's the attraction? Young people also associate the countryside with a hard life. Yep. Yet the happiest and friendliest people I've ever met are at peace on their farms, as I am. Siobhan, there are other options, but I'm yet to get an electric tractor. And share the poster, and I will share it in my group, says Pam. So I'll do that for sure. And just finally, Siobhan, where is that cattery that is being advertised on the back of the van? That you
In
did
Gdańsk, which is just outside of Caldish. So actually, and if you look on one of those pictures, if you scan the QR code, we're very proud of it. It works really, really well. So when cars behind, so it's run by Jana and Neil, and they're really wonderful, wonderful people. And I've promised that my little cats that run around here on the farm, if they ever do have to go away, they will go to them, because it looks really cozy and they look after them so well. So strongly recommended that service, and glad they're around.
So it's a cat spa, really, as much as a cattery, by the sound of it.
Yeah, sometimes I want to book into these places. You know, when you go there and you think, God, I wouldn't mind like a few days here, a little weekend here, chill out kind of thing.
It's
not
like
that I'm
horse,
not.
Isn't it? You know, if people could go to the Kinter and be fed fruit and veg for 2 days in the sunshine there, yes.
Carl, stop. You know, there's a lot of people that try and. I thought when I would live on the farm, there'd be no rooms and bedrooms for my friends and family to come, so they wouldn't come too often.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, they all love it, so they all still show up and find a way to spend weeks and stuff here, and it's good fun. Yeah, we love it. Everyone chills out at the farm.
All right, wonderful. So Siobhan, your invitation there, of course, to join you for the Beach Clean and Brunch. That's this Sunday, February the 4th. And did you say 11 a.m. start? For
11 a.m. Yeah, and actually we have a lot of new people coming, which is nice, because obviously we're an ASO, so we're all private members, but we always open up our events to newcomers as well. So it's always nice. We meet all kinds of people from all over and different ages, everything. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday, because there's a lot of new people that I've never met before.
Oh, excellent. So a good way to meet new people if you're new to the Bay and new to the Silver Coast. That's lovely. So that's you. Anything else you want to add before you go this morning?
You know what? I don't really know. No, have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and stay positive. Enjoy this sunshine, because I think we're extremely lucky. And yeah, and Savvy Cat, I hope we'll meet in person soon, because I've actually, after our last radio session together, I did do a little research. So nice, good job. Keep it up.
Thank you. And yeah, I'd love to pop by, but I'm actually stuck in Portugal for a while. I'm actually having surgery on Monday. It's a major surgery, but it's something that I chose optional. So it will take me a while to recover, and I will probably only drop by again by Caldas like in March or so, like end of March.
Well, bless you and good luck with that, Anna. Hope that goes well for you. Do you have some parting words for us, as well as a bon fin de semana this weekend, as we go into what's going to be, I think, quite an excitable 2024? And just maybe give us a final view on real estate.
Yeah, I guess given the topic, I would like to say that I'd love to help any expats that were looking to set up their farms in Portugal. To set them up, because like I said, I did grow up on the farm, and I do know basically how it works, even though I don't have that much practical experience.
Well, I think the intention and the willingness and what you obviously know about growing up on farms would go a long way. And it is, I think it is a matter of networking this, isn't it? Because there are a lot of people who want that life. They don't know where to begin. And there are a lot of people who've lived that life who think, you want to do what? Really? Well, okay. I can help with that. So
I would say that I would love to do that life if I didn't have to worry about financial sustainability.
Yes.
But
so there's
from a financial sustainability point, like if I didn't have to worry about money, I would be happily setting up a farm. But unfortunately, the money side of things is not sustainable.
Well, I've heard that's why Bill Gates is buying all this land up, so that he can give it to people so that they can live that sort of lifestyle that we're talking about. Maybe. Go on, Siobhan.
No, I just want to say, but there's a huge market. Let's not forget about hobby farming. We're not all talking about big farming. And I think a lot of people are, moving to Portugal for a certain lifestyle. And, you could really help people out finding smaller pieces of land, because farming goes from, 7,000 square meters up kind of thing, could be smaller. So I think there's I get called often, try and help people as much as I can that are setting up, that buy small pieces of lands. They want to put 1 horse on it, 3 goats. I normally advise them, like, what goats not to buy, which ones, what they're going to live. And there you don't need to have a lot of that. You don't need to pump in a lot of money. You just need to set it up really well and have a good kind of daily plan on how you work and stuff like that. So I think you have a huge market for people that are looking for hobby farms.
Are very much like that, just they have their own crops, and we have a bunch of chickens and ducks and so on in that farm. But it's nothing to sell. It's just for our own family use.
But there's a lot of people looking for that kind of stuff. And for Portuguese people, that's normal. Everyone's grandparents had that.
Yes.
It's normal to grow your cabbages. You don't, to buy your soup and so. And a lot of people are coming in here, and that's what they're looking at is a small piece of land that they can do something on it. So I think, if you can help people out there, you're going to have a lot of people ringing on your doorstep.
I'd do anything I possibly could to help that. I think it's really important that we keep that alive here in Portugal and bring new people into it. And it's, like I say, it's just a matter of making the connections, I think, because the will is there, isn't it? The insight, the knowledge is all there. The culture is there. It's just a matter of like a big switchboard and plugging in the right people to the right situation. Colleen, I always appreciate your insights and knowledge on the show. Obrigada from Colleen to you, Savvy Cat. And yes, good luck with the surgery, Anne, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. So bon fin de semana to you both. And yeah, let's make this happen. Let's keep having this conversation and living this saner way of life that I think we're all talking about. And anyone who has got this, who's into this Portuguese way of life.
Yeah, and people will probably be surprised because farms are often cheaper than apartments in Lisbon.
Well, there you go. There's another. And there are so many people who will probably take care of your farm for you. That's another scheme and project that I saw earlier on this week. There are people who want to do the work, and there are people who want to own the farm. Although that sounds like old-fashioned.
Actually, that's something I should look into, because I actually do have the farm, and it's not doing anything right now. So
become a serf. You're gonna be so busy today. Everyone's gonna be calling you. Awesome. But call me first, because I may have a plan for you.
Okay, excellent.
Awesome. I gotta go, guys. Carl, thanks so much.
There she goes, and there goes Anna as well. That has been superb this morning. What a fantastic conversation. How lovely. Very quickly then, a few events that are going on around the country, mainly in the Bairrada region. That's not an event that's going on around the country, but a nice picture from the James Webb Telescope, the latest pictures of Uranus. Their evening meal and traditional fado in Marteid. On the 3rd, that's of course tomorrow. Thank you very much, Randy, for these. All of them available on the Gumper map over on our website, goodmorningportugal.com. Festival, the Sopas, a soup festival at the Fat Farm, the Quinta de Gordo in Bairrada. That's on Sunday. And we've also got a dinner party in Amoreira de Gandara. That's tomorrow. Come and join in this traditional dinner party in the lovely village of Amoreira de Gandara. All of these are a lovely reason to go up to the Bairrada district. I was talking to young Ben Austin about the Bairrada. He'd visited the Cooperativo de Cantanhede, I think, talking to a fantastic wine producer who may join us on one of the shows or the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club one Monday evening. Rota das Adegas, their communal evening dinner party in Ancash, Bairrada, and Carnival in Melhada as well. That's a big one, isn't it? That's going to be the 3rd to the 13th in Melhada, which is, of course, the home of the delightful, exquisite suckling pig, along with Bairrada red sparkling espumante over there. Carnival in Estareja as well. Yeah, carnival season. We're moving into that. Carnival in Oliveira do Bairro. Fantastic. Nice one, Andy. And Carnival in Ovar, Aveiro as well. So lots of fabulous events. Festa in Amoreira do Repolão in Oliveira do Bairro. And finally then Festa in Levira, Bairrada as well. All of them available over at goodmorningportugal.com. Have a superb weekend. Take care and bye for now. We'll see you on Monday. I believe it's Tig James, isn't it? Along with Monday, where we'll be picking up more, I think, on the immigration fatigue idea that he introduced with us last Monday. And the great Tig James MBE. Bon fin de semana. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Epá, agora precisamos é de músculo aqui. Mas agora vamos para aí e ninguém tira a gente dali. Alguém tira a gente dali. Hã? Vou tirar só daqui.